I'm Virginia Martinson. I'm at Freedom Village in Bradenton, Florida, and I've been here about over 25 years. We have had several people in the village ask for and receive a wish of a lifetime. So I was thinking about my mother and her circumstances when she joined the Army in 1918. And I thought I would write up a little note and ask Katie if she thought it was worthy to be a wish of a lifetime. She did, and I was very happy about that, so I wrote a little bit more and gave her a lot more information, and lo and behold, I won my wish. The story was that in 1918, my mother had just graduated from Mount Carmel Nursing School in Columbus, Ohio, and went down and wanted to join the Army. At that time, the women joined the Army under the auspices of the Red Cross. So she applied and received permission. We have the letter dated in 1918 in which she enlisted in the service. She was not in there very long, but this was during the 1918 flu, which was very deadly. Mother had had the flu and survived, and although she wanted to go overseas and maybe have a little more exciting life in the Army, they decided to keep her as a nurse and to take care of the GIs that had already gotten the flu. She was stationed at Fort Dix for several months, and that's what she did. She took care of our wounded GIs that came back from service, and mostly the GIs who had the flu. I have a first cousin who was also in the service. The government installed a monument to the women in service. She went to that monument because of her service in the Army and also wanted me to go with her because of Mother. Unfortunately, I could not do that, and therefore it remained a wish, a hidden wish in my mind all these years. Katie decided it was a good wish, and she sent it to the representative AARP who sponsors these trips, and they also decided. Elijah was her name, and so she called and told me that I had won my wish. I was simply delighted.
Hi Virginia, my name is Ariel and I heard about your wish and your story, and it inspires me so much because my brother too is a lieutenant colonel chaplain in the Army, and I understand the sacrifice it is to be in the armed forces. While you're here, I hope you're able to check out Smithsonian's African American History Museum, as it's one of my favorite spots in DC. Again, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and I hope your visit is amazing.
Hey Virginia, I hope you have a fantastic visit to Washington, D.C. as part of the Women in Military Service for America. Thank you.
Hi Virginia, I'm coming to you from the U.S. National Cemetery here in Northwest D.C. Thank you for sharing your story with us, and thanks to your mother Clara for her service to our country, and I hope you have a great time in the nation's capital.
Hi Virginia, my name's Christine Callahan, and I'm so inspired to hear a piece of your story. I love that you're coming to Washington, D.C. to honor your mother's military service during World War I. My grandmother was an Army captain in World War II, and I keep this picture right by my desk at home. I'm so proud of how she served our country. I hope you have a wonderfully special trip with your granddaughter.
Hi Virginia, I heard about your awesome story and your wish. And I just wanted to thank you for sharing your story with us, and I hope that you have a great time here in Washington, D.C.
Hi, Virginia. My name is Meredith Taylor, and I'm living here in the Washington, D.C. area. I heard about your story and that you're coming to D.C., and I just want to say welcome. I want to thank you for your family's service in fighting in the wars. My grandmother also served and worked in the Pentagon during World War II, and my husband is active service military now. And so I'm just very thankful of the contributions that others and their families have made. I hope you enjoy your trip to DC. I hope you get to see a changing of the guard at the Arlington National Cemetery. It's very moving and touching to see and to think about all those many soldiers that have gone before us and the contributions that their families have made. I hope your visit is great, and hopefully the weather cooperates and you have a wonderful trip. Safe travels home. Bye now.
Hi, Virginia. Thank you for sharing part of your story with us, and welcome to Washington, D.C. I hope your trip is everything that you want it to be, and what a great way to honor your mother.
Virginia, hi, it's Jeff Aiken. My family and I live here in the Virginia area, and we heard about your story, and we think it's so fantastic that you and your granddaughter are going to come up here to honor your mom, Clara, for her service to our wonderful country during World War I. Make sure you do have a chance to check out some of the other really remarkable landmarks when you're here. Our personal favorites are the Smithsonian museums that are right around the mall. I think that's fantastic. But either way, have a great time, and God bless.
It including 3 whole days in Washington. We came back home on the 4th. It included money in order for us to fulfill our wish and pay for the expenses. As we went to Washington and were met, to the surprise of everybody here at Freedom Village and myself, by a large limousine which took us to the airport, and we had a very nice flight. We were met in Washington, D.C. at the airport by Mark, who was a representative of Ernst & Young, who took us on a wonderful trip. We went to see all the memorials, Washington memorials, Lincoln memorials, the White House.
My name is Mark Anderson, and I'm with Ernst & Young, and I spent a lot of time with our military spouses, military families, and supporting our veterans, and help with professional development and in their transition, help people both develop while they're in service and then help them find jobs, and also work on some of the challenges that military families have and spouses have, especially spouses, spousal employment and growth. And just like to help people and meet great people like you. And so our firm recently connected to Wish of a Lifetime, and I saw this as an opportunity just to participate and get to know people and try to help make your visit special. So that's really that's really why I'm here today, and I've been thrilled to meet you guys, and a fun tour this afternoon of DC.
We went to see the Army Memorial, which was absolutely fantastic. It is a huge building, and where they house not only jeeps, but machine guns, tanks, you name it, they have it. We were met by Julie, who was a representative of the memorial, who took me all around and showed me different
museums. So we're in the National Army Museum. There are many little museums across the country for the Army, but ours is the one national museum. We tell the whole story of Army history, so it will be almost 250 years of really American history. And we try to tell that story of American history through those soldier stories. So there are over 30 million American soldiers that have served or are currently serving, and we want to do them justice in this museum. So as you go through the exhibits, I wanted to try to highlight and point out those individual stories, and it's of all soldiers. So you probably noticed this wasn't a museum talking about 4 stars. We probably didn't even highlight any 4 stars. It's really about the soldiers that really did the work. So I hope you enjoyed it. It was a really honor and pleasure to take you guys through, and I'm glad it worked out.
In our travels, she introduced me to the president of the museum, who was very interesting, and we sat down, had a nice little talk, and he insisted we go back and have a little further talk. Bought me a Coke, and we had a very nice visit. He was very interested in my mother going into the Army in 1918.
I'm the president of the Army Historical Foundation. I worked with Julie on this project. So yeah, Julie and I are part of the team that built the museum and essentially what the structure you see here. And then the Army put in the exhibits, the artifacts. We put four large artifacts in here. The French tank, the landing craft from Normandy, June 6, 1944, and the Sherman tank, the M4 Sherman, and then the Bradley fighting vehicle in the last gallery. That's Changing World Gallery, but those artifacts we put in before we put any steel up here.
The Wish Day, we went to the Women's War Memorial, which was a fantastic building. It consisted of women going into nursing services even during the Civil War, which they were not actually part of the Army, but did their duty the same as women would do nowadays.
My name is Marilla Cushman. I'm a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, and my position here at the Military Women's Memorial is the Vice President and Special Advisor to the President. We were so proud to be contacted by AARP Wish of a Lifetime to welcome Virginia Martinson and Deanna to the Women's Memorial to pay special tribute to Virginia's mom, Claire Callahan Clement, who was a World War II Army nurse. So since the visit, while she's been here, we've had the opportunity to give Virginia and Deanna a tour of the memorial. And we've also been able, so that we could tell the collective story of women's service, and we've been able to do some individual stories, in particular for Claire Clement. And part of the memorial, what we call the heart of the memorial, is the register. And we have some 300,000 women's records of service, and one of those is Claire Clement's. So we were able to reintroduce Virginia and Deanna to Claire, and as a military woman, and to tell Claire's story here at the memorial, both in the register itself with her picture, her record of service, and our awards and decorations. And we were also able, we had the great opportunity to unfurl a U.S. flag in honor and memory of Claire. One of our, as I said, our heart of the memorial is the registration and the registration room. And we have some 300,000 women's records of service. However, that's only about 10% of the 3 million women who have served this nation so proudly and well. We ask family members, friends, colleagues to register a woman's service, whether she is living or deceased, active duty, veteran. Every woman who served is eligible. Easy to do. You can go online to womensmemorial.org and click on Create an Account, and proceed to enter those elements of the woman's service. One is her picture of her in uniform, a little bit about her service, we call it the memorable experience, her awards and decorations, and various if she served overseas or things of that sort. And that goes into this database and is preserved for all time. And so that for generations of family members and friends can come to this memorial and pay tribute to a woman who has served, whether it was in the American Revolution, World War I, or a woman serving today.
When I first walked into the memorial, they had enlarged a picture and a little article about my mother's service, and they had it up high on the wall as I walked in. I will never forget looking up there and seeing my little mother up there in the ceiling, up towards the ceiling. It was wonderful for them to do that. They also presented me with a picture of that, which I will have framed, and the flag, which I will keep forever. The museum had artifacts from years, hundreds of years ago, for women who have performed remarkable services. And now, of course, they are incorporated, and they fly planes. They do all the things that men They do all the things that men do, I think we should say, which they do. They had a nurse cadet corps, which was, my sister, in fact, was educated by the Army and signed up to enter the Army when she completed her nursing degree. Unfortunately, the war was over before she had to do that, but she had a very wonderful education and has always thanked the Army. During this service, a very memorable act occurred. The lady in charge of the memorial and her friend raised the American flag in honor of my mother, which was awe-inspiring, and took it down, folded it the way they do in the service, and presented it to me, and I am thrilled to have it. I would like to really thank Katie Pinta, who started the whole thing and sent it to Elijah, who was from AARP, and Ernst & Young, who provided the money for my trip, and everybody who was interested in me and showed me a fantastic time. And also to my granddaughter, without whom I could never have made the trip. How's that?
I love you, Grandma.
Okay.